Hi, world of Flosstube. It is the 29th of May and I'm here with my May update. So organised. So it's daytime, so you can actually probably see what I'm showing you a bit better. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I think I've got a lot to talk about because May has been a rip snorting awesome stitching month for many reasons. If you've watched my last 2 videos, you would have seen the awesome time that I had at the Mirabilia retreat, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but I mean I've already talked about it, so I won't gab on about it too much and make you all feel incredibly jealous because it was awesome. But I'm going to show you what I've been doing because I decided to jump on the Stitch Mania bandwagon because why not? I had some stuff I wanted to start, so I started it, and I've got some haul and I've got some other stuff that I've done and finishes, new projects, got stuff. Okay, I'll do the haul at the end for those who don't like it. I don't know why you don't like haul. I mean, it's not like Stitch from Stash, we are on track. It's been an excellent month. I've bought stuff I needed and I've got a little rack, so stick around for that. So, start of the month. Well, I think I had the weekend. Okay, so I finished Gypsy Queen on the Friday, and then the Saturday and Sunday were the last 2 days of April. So I had 2 days to do something before Stitch Mania started. So I picked up Celtic Christmas because I was in the beading mood, having worked on, that's a mistake, having worked on Gypsy and beating her up. I felt like beading. So I went and got, oh my gosh, a bit sticky here. That's my no basting Velcro. See that? See that? See that? That's what I use to stick it on my scroll frame. Anyway, if you want to know about my scroll frame, we can talk about that another time. Celtic Christmas. So I started doing the beading up the top. See that? There you go. And I'm beading that with a thread that is very close to the colour here. It's DMC 3750. If I got that right, that's a miracle. We can check that. Should we check that? Let's check that. Because why not? Sorry, just saw my rump. I am beating that with, what did I say? 37? Oh, it's completely off. 3033. So I'm using that because it's close enough. And so that's what I'm using to bead her with. Oh, I was going to mention this because someone did ask. Gypsy Queen, I beaded her using DMC closest to the colour of the bead that I could get according to the DMC to Mill Hill conversion chart, which is freely available online. Just Google. And while it was fine, it's actually not what I will do in the future. I quite like using this, which is the same colour as the fabric. I think that is good, but even better is something I'll talk about later about beading. But anyway, that's what I'm doing on this one. So I've just started up the top and I'm doing the metallics and the beads as I go down the piece. So I've got to fill in all metallics down the bottom in all those gaps in the dress. That's all got to be metallics, and lots of beads and stuff in all these days. So she's in my plans for next month. I'm going to finish her next month. June, she's going to be done, which will be a year. If I can finish her by the 1st of July, that will be 12 months since I started her. Started this in a sale with Jan from Thread Garden. Hi, Jan. And she totally forgot she was even stitching this and hardly done anything. So I win. Yay. Not that it's a competition. Anyway, so that Celtic Christmas got worked on just for 2 days. So that was fun. And then I had the Monday till Friday until I went to the retreat. So I picked up my first Maynia project, which is this one. It's called, I think it's called Snowman Banner, and it's by Kappie Creations, Kappie. And it's totally 80s, and I love it for that reason. So it's going to be this big. Well, it won't be. I think it's going to have plenty to cut off, actually. And that's all I've done. I've done a bit of holly and a snowman's bottom. Isn't that nice? So it doesn't tell you what count this fabric is, but I've got my ruler out, and it is an 18 count, but we stitch 3 threads over 2, so that means it equates to a 9 count. Check it out. Look at the sizes of those X's. Big chunky X's. And it makes me just think of the 80s. You know, cross stitch in the 80s and the 90s, and it was pretty, you know, what word shall I use? Home style, country, got a wayward hair, you know, chunky monkey stuff. Lots of tablecloths that with the, you know, cross stitched and whatever. Anyway, this makes me think of the 80s. And I like it for that, because let's face it, you go and buy Christmas decorations now and they're made in China rubbish. Or if you buy good ones, they're like really expensive. You know, but the rubbish just doesn't last, and this will last. And it just makes me think of something that, I mean, because it's obviously the pattern, the kit is obviously from from the way that the chart is, it's all done, hand done and everything. So anyway, kind of love it for its wholesomeness or something. And yeah, so anyway, it's stitching up really quick because it's so big and it's really good. I actually sat in bed and stitched most of that white bottom. Yeah, I picked it up again last night. That's what I was going to say. I stitched on it for like a couple of days, and then I just picked it up again last night when I was sitting in bed because it was really easy to do. So that's that one. So then I jumped on another bandwagon during that first week of May. Project bags, Vonna's project bags. I had to do it. I just couldn't. I couldn't resist any longer, and I really felt like I needed them for the retreat, like needed them. How could I possibly go to a retreat without a project bag or a project roll, which is another thing I made. Oh, so exciting. So I went down to Spotlight and I got some fabric and I made 2 project bags. Following Vonna's, that's just one fabric because I had it left over from my project roll. I haven't actually used any Velcro. So this is, I'll just tell you first, if you don't already know, Vonna, the Twisted Stitcher, is an amazing finisher. She's an amazing stitcher, but she has a finishing business and she's kind enough to share tutorials in a huge range of awesome finishing methods and project bags and project rolls. If you don't already subscribe to Vonna, get on it. She's awesome. She's fabulous. She shows how to put Velcro on here. I just didn't get that far, and now I don't know if I'll even bother because it just sort of all holds together. The fusible fleece that I had to get for this one is actually quite thick, so it's not ideal, but it's fine. Anyway, so that's got that actually has my Snowman Banner in it. Anyway, so I did that one, and then I made this one. This fabric I bought specifically to make a project bag. Look at that, it's got a bit of a metallic sheen to it. You probably can't see it on there. And then bright pink on the inside, and that's got red in it. I'll show you that later, my red project, my mirror. So I took this one to the retreat. Lovely. And it's really good because, like, it's big enough for my charts, right, because I photocopy working copies. And I've got floss down here that I haven't bobinated, but I know I'm going to need for the project. And I've got my little project box. which I photocopied the key here for all the what beads and threads I'm going to use, and I stick that in the top of there, so I've always got that, so that's cool. Oh, and while I'm here, we got this at the retreat. I don't think I showed it. This is a counting pin, little mermaid counting pin that we got in our goodie bag at the retreat. And JK. And kind of like her. I wore her as a brooch at the retreat. I wonder if I can do that today, because she's cool. There you go. That's good, isn't it? Yeah. So we got that little counting pin, which was very sweet. Anyway, so these project bags are great because they're big enough for all that sort of bizzo. And then I also found these at the fabric store. This little iron-on stitch with love. So I made those, and I also made this is my favourite. I made a project roll. Oh, no, little button, little scissor button, just to hold my ribbon on, all rolled up, ribbon. So, project rolls, let me tell you the story. I first saw these at a craft fair that came to our town, Craft Alive. If you're in, I think the eastern states of Australia, you get Craft Alive at a lot of major centres. And I saw a woman there who made project rolls, custom to order. And I was there with my other stitch friends, Virginia and Jenna. And anyway, we saw these and we just thought they were just awesome. We're like, oh my God, we've got to get them. Yeah, we should totally get those, because you roll your projects up and keep them safe. And up until now, I've kept my projects in a pillowcase. Anyway, so I saw them there and I thought they were really cool, and I was going to get one, and you had to order it, and then I was sort of balked at the price. I think it was going to be, I don't know, roughly $50 or $60, which, look, is completely fair and reasonable because the amount of work in it. But to be honest, I'm a bit of a cheapskate this year. And I've been putting off. And then I thought, I wonder if Vonna has a tutorial for how to make a project roll. Guess what? She totally does. So I made it, and it was a labour of love. So this is how it works. It is quilted. It's with fusible fleece. I made mine long enough for my, oh my gosh, I made mine so it was long enough for my Save the Stitches project. So mine is quite long. And you can see I've got one, that's fabric for a project I'm going to start today. That's my Teresa Windsor's a Mermaid. And here's one you haven't seen in a while. Save the Stitches. Oh, I'm so going to get back and do this project. Anyway, so this is where I store my projects, so they all save. I decided not to put, just sit down. I decided not to put my Gypsy Queen in this because the beads, I didn't want them to roll up onto other projects. But I did take Gypsy Queen to the retreat wrapped in this, and I just felt wonderful knowing that she was safe and secure. So, yeah, so it's fusible fleece. It's quite thick fleece because that's all I had. It was the extra loft fleece, so I would recommend just getting the standard. And then it's all been quilted, you can see. Now, let me just preface this with saying I'm not a sewer. The only time I sew is if it's got something to do with cross-stitching. I will sew to finish a cross-stitch piece, or I might do some repairs. I have made curtains in the past, but I'm not a sewer. No, not a sewer. My mother is a sewer. My mother's just good at everything, so she taught me the basics. I know how to run my machine. I know how to do some basic stuff, but, like if I make clothes, they look crap. Anyway, but things like this I like because there's no, clothes and getting clothes to fit and stuff. That just seems like way tricky. Cushions, yep. I reckon I could do that. I've made those with my mum before and I've made them so often now that I could do them without her help now, I think. But stuff like this, I like doing this kind of sewing because it relates to my favourite hobby. But I love this. And the tube in there is a postage tube, mailing tube. Anyway, so that is my project roll, and I love her so much. So yeah, if you own a sewing machine and you feel okay with sewing, then you can whip those up. Trust me, believe me, it's not rocket science. It's pretty easy. Not easy, but it's not. If you're a cross stitcher, you're a little bit handy. So I reckon pretty much anyone can put their hand to it. And Vonna's tutorials are just so awesome and clear that anyone can give it a go. I will make sure to link her videos to those tutorials below. Okay, so then it was the Friday and I drove down to the retreat. And if you want to watch a video about the retreat, you can go to that video. And it was awesome. And Nora was great. Seeing everyone's stitching was great. But the best thing was meeting people that I had known through Flosstube and Facebook and Instagram. And that was the best. So I've made some really great, awesome friends through that. And we're going to be catching up again in the future, which is going to be so much fun. So, hey, girls, you know who you are. You know who you are. I'm looking at you, my tribe. Yeah, so at the retreat, I picked up red. I started red. Oh, what's that? Nora's signature. She was fabulous. She was so nice. I mean, I've said her how nice she was. I'm not going to rave on about it again, but, you know, she was great. And she did sign these and Gypsy Queen chart as well, which I don't have here. But she signed those for me. So that was really cool. And, yeah, so I started red on this fabric. So that was my start. Basically everything here was stitched at the retreat except sort of the purple bit up here, which I did the week. I don't know. I didn't get a lot of this stitched. You know what's weird? It's called red and I haven't stitched any red yet. It's like purple and mauve and grey and pink and black. The fabric is 32 count. 32 count even weave, machine dyed from sewitall.com.au. Talk about them all the time. And I really like how the colours are working on that and I'm really happy with my fabric choice. So that is a red. Started, happy days. No complaints there at all. She's beautiful. Now at the retreat, you've probably all seen it, but there was a freebie given out, an exclusive chart. Well, it wasn't exclusive because now everyone can get it. It's available for download from linenandthreads.com, which is the people who organise the retreat. So you can download this chart for free, and I decided to start it, and I got carried away, and then I finished it. This is when I got back from the retreat. That's why I didn't do much more on red because, yeah. So I've got lots to talk about here. So this is called Mia Mermaid, and the original chart, which I'll insert a photo of the model stitch that they had at the retreat. So you can see from that they had Mirabilia Australia in 2017 on it. I decided to omit those. I stitched this on a piece of fabric which was in my stash, so yay, stitch from stash. And this is why I got excited to stitch it, because I was on the drive home, I was thinking, that piece of fabric, that 32 count Belfast seafoam from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. Wouldn't that be perfect? Because very similar to the suggested fabric, which is actually different to the fabric that the model was stitched on, because they just didn't have time to get their suggested fabric. Anyway, because I didn't realise it was going to be quite so small, but it is a small chart, as you can see, so she fits on there amply. And then everything on here is from my stash, so I substituted a lot of things and did some new things on here. So First of all, I substituted, there was meant to be Karen water lilies in the tail, but I substituted Weeks Dye Works turquoise, which is here, and a little bit up here. And I also substituted this darker one here. This was meant to be Karen water lilies, and I put in a DMC satin. Now, if you've watched my videos for a while now, you'll know that I'm quite a fan of the DMC satin. I find they are really good to work with, and I think that they give a little bit of extra sheen. Now, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but it shows up in real life. Now, have a look at this. Where is she? There's her tail. I'm hoping that that is in focus for you. But you can see, I think the X's on that dark green there, which is the satin, is pretty, they're pretty tidy crosses. Now, there's a couple of tips I have for how to work with DMC satin, and I have made a video about this in the past as well, probably about 2 years ago, when I first used it on a Alessandra Adelaide project. Don't be afraid of DMC satin. I've got this wayward hair. It's just crazy. Ignore it. Couple of tips when using DMC satin. Thread Heaven is your friend. Thread Heaven just seems to make it easier to control. And the other thing I do is I thread my needle in the loop. How can I show you that? It would be good if I just had some thread here, wouldn't it? Let me get some thread. So I've got a piece of one strand of floss here, and I've got my needle. So normally we would put the two loose ends together, thread your needle, and then you've got your loop down here and your needle up here. But when you're using DMC satin, I recommend that you thread one end of your floss. I can't believe I just got a knot in that. That's just ridiculous. Cut that off. So I call this threading in the loop. So your needle is in the loop so that it can't go anywhere. So let me show you. There's my needle caught in the loop, and my two loose ends are down here, you can see. So that's how I thread DMC satin when I'm stitching it. And I stitch it and I catch my end at the back of my work. You could do a pin stitch as well if you like to do a pin stitch. And then you don't get your needle slipping, because it does slip a little bit on DMC satin, but it can't slip here. And the other thing you get with DMC satin is you will get some fraying on the loose ends. But if you tuck those in when you start, you've got no loose ends to worry about. It doesn't matter if your needle slips, because you just pull it to so it's centered on your floss. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Perfect sense. So that's what I do when I'm using DMC satin, and I find no problem with it. So if you want to give it a go, I think it's really, there are a lot of, what am I trying to say? You can get DMC satin in a lot of standard DMC colours. So it's really good for substituting, I think, if you want to add a little bit more sheen, a little bit more something. Anyway, I had it in my stash. I didn't want to buy Karen water lilies just for this small project, so I did that. The beads, I substituted whatever I had in my stash as well. I just found some greens and turquoise and whites and sort of crystally champagne colours, Mill Hills that I just happened to have. And I did couching for the outline of her skin. And the big thing that I did is I did a completely different thing on her hair. I copied Silvana. Well, I'm not going to say copied, because copied would suggest that mine looks like hers, and mine doesn't, because Silvana's is far superior. Silvana, I met at the retreat, and she's one of my new Flosstube. Well, she's not on Flosstube. I don't even know if she watches Flosstube, but she's my new stitchy friend, and she does this amazing thing with the hair on her Mirabilias. I showed it in my last video, but I'm going to show it to you now, and I'm going to leave this photo on the screen for a little bit longer than I normally would, because I really want you to just appreciate the work in this mermaid's hair. Check this out. So that's her Mermaid of Atlantis. She she did a colour conversion and turned her hair red. And you can see that she's done something there which is called, well, satin stitch, essentially. Some people call it thread painting. I think Jan was calling it. Anyway, I gave it a shot. It's not as good as Silvana's, but you get the idea. Can you see her there? Yeah. So that is her hair. So you can see that I've been asked if I could do a tutorial on this, and I don't feel comfortable doing a tutorial because I don't feel that I'm well versed enough in this technique yet. But this was basically a chance to test it out and have a try of doing the hair like this. It's a bit jagged around the edges. It's not as smooth as I'd like it. It's a bit sort of more chunkier, which in a way is okay because it does give it really good dimension and make it look like real hair. But I used 4 different colours in that, two browns that were charted, and I substituted the Karen Water Lilies for a DMC 434, I believe, and I also used DMC Satin 434 just to add a bit of extra sheen on top as well. So what you do, I'll give you a basic rundown of what I do, but I suggest that you go and practice and research it and check it out yourself just to get your own technique. But I do all the cross. This is what Silvana showed me to do as well, is do all the cross stitch underneath the hair as you would as charted. So you do all that. So now you've got a guide on what colour goes where. And it's basically a satin stitch, which is, does that make sense? Like, yeah, I think you should do it in shorter length than I did it. If you look at Silvana's, you'll see it's quite a bit shorter, the length. But that's how I've done mine. So it's a bit of a new thing that I'm trying, and I think I will just keep experimenting with it as a method. Just add something different, you know. Oh, her skin's done that's the other thing. Her skin is done, you know how much I hated skin 1/1 on Gypsy Queen. Well, I would like to introduce you to skin 2/1 tent stitch. Can you see? Yeah, it looks just like a normal cross, but it's tent. It's just the one leg of the cross, and it's continental. I've done it continental cross stitch, not continental tent stitch, sorry, which I only just worked out what continental tent stitch is. And the reason I did it continental is it gives you more thread at the back to put your needle under to tie your thread off. I'm just trying to I'm really working on perfecting my technique. I really want to make my backs look better. Now, I don't want to do this because of any other, well, you know, there are some, like the Royal Easter Show in Sydney, you enter pieces unframed because they look at the back first. And then if it's good enough, they look at the front. Now, the back of this ain't good enough. I know that because the beading has not been done with invisible thread. And anyway, it's got to look really tidy on the back. So I'm just challenging myself a little to try and make my backs a bit tidier. It's just a personal challenge. It's not necessary, and it makes no difference to the front. Don't get me wrong. And I think maybe I might be a bit too lazy to really bother about it, but I am sort of trying to perfect my technique a little bit, you know. Anyway, so that's me and Mermaid done. With a few extra, she was a bit of a test piece, and I'll tell you now, I don't love the design, but I was so motivated to stitch it. One, it was this is like my souvenir of the retreat, and it represents meeting the lovely women that I did and meeting Nora and getting to do the interview and just everything about the retreat. So it's my souvenir because I didn't actually buy anything at the retreat except for some bow and needles because stitch from stash. So I didn't buy anything. So this was my memento, and it was also my test piece to try out a few things that I had seen at the retreat, specifically the hair. I really wanted to try the hair, and I think she was just the perfect candidate for doing hair because look at it. It's just screaming out for look at my hair. This is all about the hair. This chart is all about the hair. So I really wanted to, I was so motivated to stitch this. I stitched it in, I think, 5 days or something. I kind of went a bit bonkers. So, yeah, I stitched it in less than a week. And I really wanted to try out, you know, Silvana's hair technique, and I wanted to use this fabric, and I wanted to have something to remember the retreat by. So that's what drew me to stitch that. And if you want the chart, it's linked down below, so you can download that for free. So that is. So then what did I do then? Well, then I picked up my next Stitch Mania start. So how many starts have I got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I did 5 starts altogether, and I'm going to have 6 after today. I'm going to start another. So I started this. This is what came next. Then I picked up Queen Nefertiti by Janlynn. This is the companion piece to Boy King Tutankhamun that I stitched about 20 years ago. And I got started on her. There she is. This is actually stitched up really fast. Now, I don't know if you can tell from camera, but that is, oh, yeah, you can. I think you can. That's full of blending filament. Blending filament in everything there. I think you are getting a bit of that. Stiff Ada, but that's fine. It's on my frame. It's sort of, you can see it's stuck to what I had it. I just took this off the scroll frame. So she's stitching up pretty quick. I've only stitched on this for probably about 5 days or something like that. It's pretty slow when you look at the mermaid that I did in 5 days, but the blending filament takes a little bit of work, but I'm finding it okay. What I do is I use Thread Heaven and just kind of go for it, you know, and don't worry about it too much. And I think my crosses are looking pretty okay. I mean, they're not amazing, but they're okay. So I stitched on Queen Nefertiti for a while, and then I decided, I had this brainwave. I started thinking about Christmas, and I started thinking about the fact that my son will be going to big school next year. Kindergarten, we call it here. Other states call it prep, others, I don't know. Anyway, he's turning 5. He's going to start big proper school. You know, he's going to be starting big school next year. So I decided I wanted to make some Christmas ornaments for his teachers at his preschool, daycare, nursery, whatever you want to call it, that he's been going to. This is his 2nd year there. He's been going there since he was 3. So I wanted to make some Christmas ornaments for those teachers there because they're very special. And then I started thinking about other people I want to make ornaments for, and I thought, better not leave that to the last minute. So I decided to start stitching some ornaments. So these are just 2 little ones that I did, easy ones. And I've just used some DMC, I think they're called the DMC variations, these ones. So DMC 125, greens. Oh, caught here. I haven't bobinated these, so I was feeling lazy. Oh, and this is DMC 115. It's just the red. So just once again, things in my stash, just whatever's in my stash is what I'm using for everything. So I decided just to whip those up, and I did those. I think I did them in one day. And then the next day I decided they needed beads because they weren't chartered for any beads, but I decided they needed beads. So I just grabbed some beads, whatever was in the stash. And yeah, so these are from this little book here. Free vintage Christmas gift sets. And I think this might be a Cross Stitch Crazy thing. I don't know where I've picked this up. Yeah, I think it was from Cross Stitch Crazy. And it's just got some little card designs and stuff. And I wanted to start off with something really simple because there is nothing worse than giving yourself an unachievable project. So I thought I'm just going to stitch this is from this range. Some little simple, really simple monotone designs by, who are these by? Stitched by Sally Adams. Well, I don't know, who's the designer? I don't know. Sally Adams? Sally Adams, maybe they're by Sally Adams. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure who's the designer, actually. It doesn't seem to say, which is weird, isn't it? Anyway, look at me. Anyway, so they were just from there, and I just wanted to have something easy, and this is just a 28 count acrylic linen. So my idea is I'm going to try and do 2 ornaments a month. So if I do 2 ornaments a month, by the time we get to, I can show you something else about. So if I do 2 a month, I should have about 12 come Christmas. And I'm going to make them, my plan is to make them into little cushion ornaments because I think they look probably the easiest and they look cute. So with the beading, I tried out something new because I'm new to beading. Gypsy was my first proper beading project, and now I'm into beading. Anyway, so the thread I used for these is called, and this is part of my haul, hardly haul, but it's called Nymo thread, Nymo. Comes on a little spool like this, and it's not invisible, but it's a nylon thread. You can hear it squeaking. Comes in white and black, and you can basically barely see it, and it's really easy to work with. Unlike, well, I've never used invisible thread, but I've heard it's terrible. So this is the packaging it comes in. And yeah, I found it really easy to work with, and I don't think you can see it. I've used it on the clear beads there. And yeah. So that's my new beading, and thanks to Taryn, hi Taryn, who I know watches my videos, for putting me and a couple of other people at the retreat onto that. So that's my new beading thread, I think. And just to show you what I'm going to start today, this will be tonight, this will be my final Stitch Mania start, will be Stitches Verse. So I'll start that tonight, and then that's almost a Stitch Mania projects. So moving on, my plans for next month. Well, now I'm going to finish. Finishing is now, for the second half of the year, will be the focus. I might have one more start. I've got one more start planned for this year. I'm not sure when I'll start that, but otherwise I think I'm just going to work on what I've got, because I have, how many projects do I have now? Gosh, once I start Stitches Verse, I will have 9. Gulp. 9 whips. But Celtic Christmas, I'm going to try and finish her off next month, so I'll be down to 8. Christmas ornaments are an ongoing finish, so I'm not worried about that. Queen Nefertiti I don't think is going to take all that long. And Snowman Banner I don't think is going to take all that long. So I'm just going to work on what I feel like for as long as I feel like. And I'll probably work on things which are closer to finishing than not. So then I've got some haul. I already showed you the Nymo thread that I got. I bought this from JK Cross Stitching Supplies, Aussie supplier of stuff at very reasonable prices. Check her out. It's a card. Janet is awesome. And she sent me this little needle minder for free. That's a little bonus. Isn't that good? So Janet does, she's got heaps of stuff. Check out, it's all done through her Facebook page, so I'll link that below as well. So I just got a Nymo, some beading needles, which I don't like anyway. They're only $1 for 3, so who cares? I got some more of this. This is my no basting system for my America Dream frame. One of these is going to from my friend Julie because she gave me her packet at the beginning of the year. So paid that back. And I bought another tacky bob because my tacky bob broke because I dropped it on the floor. So I got a new tacky bob. So the only thing there that counts towards Stitch from Stash is the Nymo thread, technically. So, yeah, not really much of a haul. I want to show you these up close. At the retreat, we had the little competition and I won equal first place for best unframed piece. And I got these two little things. I did show a photo of them, but I just wanted to show them on camera. These absolutely beautiful, and they're my new favourite scissors. I now have 3 pairs of embroidery scissors, little antique style, and they are just so lovely and solid. And it also came with this little tape measure, which has a magnet on it as well. So that was my little gift. Coming equal first for that. Something I did buy, which does count towards my Stitch from Stash, is I bought some more Cascade House floss. I had 3 of these, and to complete my project, which I haven't started yet, I needed more. So I got some more of those done. More of those dyed, and the dye lots are like the same. So I'm really happy with that because I've bought them along quite a distance apart. Like I bought these other ones like 2 years ago or something. But I reordered them and they were able to do them for me and they look great. So this is going to be for my Alessandra Adelaide flower lace heart that I showed in my last video. I did order the chart, but it hasn't turned up yet. So that's why it hasn't been a Stitch Mania chart, a start as planned. But I've got my floss ready to go whenever it does turn up. So that'll be my only other start that I've got planned for the rest of the year, but whatever, who knows. And then lastly, I got a little gift sent to me. At the retreat, I met face-to-face Sydney Stitcher. Sydney Stitcher is on Instagram, and we've been Instagram chatty buddies for, I don't know, ages. And I met her at the retreat, and she was lovely. So nice, in fact, that she sent me a little gift that at the retreat, I'll tell you, what am I blabbing on about? So Linen and Threads, who ran the retreat, they mainly sell Mirabilia, Nora Corbett, and they do more primitive designs that they sell, like Little House Needleworks, Country Cottage, you know, Prairie School, all that sort of bizzo, which if you watch my channel, you would know that I don't really stitch. Anyway, but I did see this chart there. It's a little needlebook, and I saw it there. They had the actual, like a model of it stitched. And I thought it was the cutest damn thing ever. And I'm standing there looking at it, chatting away, and I happened to be standing next to Sydney Stitcher at the time. I'm like, oh, look how cute that is. Yeah, I could totally stitch that. That's really nice, little needlebook. And she went, oh, I've got that. I've got that chart. Oh, like, I could totally send it to you. I'm like, awesome. So she sent me her Little House Needleworks. It's called Needle Lady Pocket. So I'm going to stitch that up. And so she sent me her chart, and she had her finished one there actually. And when I'm finished with it, I'm going to send it on to Jan from Dream Garden, because she was admiring it as well. So thank you for that, Sydney Stitcher. But she also went a bit naughty, and she sent me some other things because she went to this place. See this place? Victoria House Needlecraft. Now, Victoria House Needlecraft is in Mittagong, which is closer to Sydney, and I've never been there, but I've seen pictures of it and I've heard first-hand accounts of how amazing it is. And she went there, didn't she? And she got me a couple of things. Because how nice is that? She got me some cottage garden threads. Now, I've seen these before and their colours are amazing. So she got me 2 of these, Rosalie. Love those colours. Ah, these are Australian made, I believe. They're really nice. This one's orchid. And this one, check this out. Dragonfly, look at that. I love these colours. Just beautiful. I get the feeling that Sydney Stitcher knows me because she just sends me colours that are just so me. Look at these little suckers. These are gumnut yarns. Stars, they're called. Hand-dyed Australian threads. Look at those. The most beautiful colours in the world. They are just so vivid and beautiful. And this is so pretty. Mulberry Blues. Silken strands, 100% silk. Colour streams. Another Australian one. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, and she also sent me this soap. Smells amazing. Morgan and Finch, I think. Or is that a bank? It's in my bathroom, but it's coconut and lime. Do you know what it smells like? Pina colada. She knows me. At the retreat, I had a Midori splice. Midori and pineapple. Just so refreshing. I'm not much of a drinker, but I do like cocktails. Anyway, this soap smells like a cocktail. It's just beautiful. So thank you, Sydney Stitcher. That warmed the cockles of my heart. So that's a nice way to end the video, isn't it? I think that's everything. Lots of stitching, lots of fun stuff, new stuff. Anyway, have a lovely afternoon. The sun is shining on my Pyrex. No. Until next time, have a great stitching month, and I'll see you sometime in June. Bye.